Would look for a motion to approve the agenda, if nobody has any additions or corrections.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Jenny,
Second.
second by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Thank you. Approval of minutes from the June 24th meeting. Anybody have any additions or corrections? Look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Sebastian,
Second.
second by Kurt Stubsted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Minutes are approved. Thank you, everyone. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes, or online, that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Hearing none. Move on to public hearings. The first hearing is Northwest Excavating, request for an interim use mining permit. Motion made by Jenny to open the public hearing,
Second.
second by Sebastian. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a renewal request for an interim use permit for gravel mining. Pull this up here. So this one might be familiar to you because it was just granted in 2024, a little over a year ago. So they're seeking a new permit just because there was a property ownership change for this parcel, and per the standards of our development ordinance and state law, an interim use permit does terminate if there's change of ownership of a property. So really the only thing that they're seeking here is to just change that part of their current permit, essentially. We did do a pit inspection with them in May of 2025. It honestly looked good. There were just a couple of notes on that inspection that should be addressed, but nothing major. And so the suggested action before you would be, because this is really based on an ownership change, there's not any violation of permit conditions that have happened, would just be to approve the interim use permit with the same conditions. The other caveat is we do have new findings of fact since our ordinance was updated. So I'd recommend going through those just because they are new. But really, nothing has really changed about this specific pit at all, just the ownership. Any questions for me at all?
Okay, hearing none, would the applicant care to speak? Okay,
Recorded.
No, I don't really have any comments unless you have a question.
okay, does anybody on the panel have a question for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? You may be seated. Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing none, look for a motion for the public hearing to be closed.
So moved.
Motion by Kurt Shervin,
Second.
second by Ashley Hing. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Public hearing is closed. And as Matt said, even though this is just basically a name change, we need to go through the findings of fact. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of residents of Clay County. The interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. The establishment of the interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, and off-street parking and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. The interim use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public service roads, public service safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impact will be resolved. The interim use allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. The interim use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan, and any comprehensive plan a township or city may be applicable. Okay, and staff has 14.
And Mr. Chair, these conditions are the same as 2024, the only exception being the first condition, this being a new permit, looking at a 10-year timeframe, just bumped it a year from 2034 to 2035.
And this has the, condition 14 has the rules that we've been, hours of operation that we've been attempting to
Correct.
make uniform. So any discussion or changes? Hearing none, look for a motion to approve or deny the IUP.
Mr. Chair, did you close the public hearing? We need to do that.
I made the motion, I think.
Kurt Shervin and Sebastian, yes.
Yeah.
Not a problem. It has happened. Look for a motion to approve or deny the IUP with the 14 conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ashley. Second by Laura. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? IUP is granted. Next item on the agenda is Asplin Excavating, also requesting for an interim use. Look for a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Laura, second by Sebastian. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Public hearing is open. There you go, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is another one that would be probably pretty fresh for most of you, just because the applicant has recently completed an EAW and received a negative declaration of the need for an environmental impact statement. This property is a 160-acre parcel. It's in Holly Township, essentially right across the street from the landfill. It's got a mix of uses on it, cultivated ag, residential, and gravel mining. It's in the Ag General Zoning District. There's a permit and conditional use permit for a 20-acre mine in 1991, and then a couple of variances for setbacks to residents and septic systems done in 2003. So the proposal is to expand the existing 56.1 acre pit by 48.1 acres. As mentioned, an environmental assessment worksheet was completed in April. The property does have a farming history, but has been leased to Coast Brothers between 91 and 2003 and Asplin since that time. So this would expand the pit to 104.2 acres, looking at about 115,000 cubic yards of material. Just a typical mining approach that they would do. They would kind of have been moving in a clockwise position here, and that's the plan. This has been mined, this has been mined, this has been reclaimed. They're in the process of reclaiming this, and then we'll just kind of keep moving on around in that clockwise motion. So they plan on using crushers and screens. Pumping would be used in conjunction with stormwater basins to wash the mine material, and that water is returned on site. It will be in phases as previously described. There wouldn't be any structures that would require any demolition. This expansion is estimated to expand this mine's life by about 10 to 20 years. And it would be reclaimed in a phased manner per landowner specifications. The operating hours requested are March through December, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. There'd be 3 to 7 employees on site. As mentioned in the EAW, there really aren't any water resources within the pit that haven't been created through excavation. There are a couple of farmed wetlands, so it'd be good for our County Wetlands Conservation Act coordinator just to consult and review with the applicant. Water depth varies, 18 feet below grade. Nearby wells are at 31.5 feet and 52 feet. Previous operation has shown that there's an absence of documented impacts to surrounding wells, and the mining activities wouldn't impact groundwater. Won't be any wastewater generated to discharge to nearby public surface waters. A groundwater appropriations permit may be required from the from the DNR, even for closed loop systems where you're not pumping any water from the ground, but just using stormwater to wash. If that amount exceeds 10,000 gallons per day or 1 million gallons a year. So that's something that the applicant would need to check with the DNR on. Reclamation, it's been ongoing. The intent is to return this to farmland and then to also have a pond in the northwest corner of the pit per landowner request. Our reclamation costs are between $500,000 to $1 million. They'd monitor for invasive plant species, and then again, it's going to be ag production or pasture. Just based on the surrounding uses and with the landfill and other gravel pits in the area, not expecting a lot of visual impacts. No air emissions. Fugitive dust should be controlled with either water or calcium chloride. Just running trucks below 10 miles per hour should reduce that dust. And then any dust, dirt, or mud that's tracked onto County Road 23 should be removed regularly. That's been noted as well by our highway department. So with this expansion, there shouldn't be a change in transportation at all. Essentially, they're not making this bigger. They're just kind of moving into a new phase. And so just looking at 26 trucks making 4 to 5 daily trips, looking at about 200 truck trips per day, which would vary throughout the season and shouldn't increase the volume of traffic at all as well. The primary haul route would be up 23 to Highway 10. We didn't receive any comments from Holly Township or the general public. Use permit, though, may be required by the township. And then, excuse me, just received the comment from the DNR that a water appropriations permit may be required, depending on the volume. Any questions for me at all?
Thank you, Matt. Would the applicant care to speak to the application? If so, come to the mic and state your name for the record, please.
I wouldn't necessarily have anything to add to it, if you guys have any
State your
questions of
name.
me. Ben Asplin with Asplin Excavating. So I wouldn't have any questions or anything to add unless you guys have questions for me.
Anyone on the panel have questions for Mr. Asplin? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kurt Stubstead. Second by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. Okay, we will move on to findings of fact. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of Clay County. The interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. The establishment of the interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvements of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. The interim use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety device services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, and storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts be resolved. The interim use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. The interim use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive Use and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable. Okay, and staff has submitted 14 conditions.
Chair.
Go.
Mr. Chair and Matt, was this pit inspected like the previous one had been inspected? And if there was there any problems found?
Correct, it was inspected. When it was last inspected, that's when we had discovered the need for the environmental assessment worksheet, and then just to get it properly permitted, just because the previous conditional use permit only was for 20 acres.
Anyone else have questions concerning the permit and or the conditions?
Mr. Chair, would you wish for me to read the conditions?
I do not, however, I'm just one of many here. Yeah, I'm seeing mostly no. Well, thanks for the offer.
Mr. Chair, Matt, are these conditions the same as the previous permit held?
Yeah, essentially. The only difference is really being the size being 105 acres, reclamation bond being different. Otherwise, they're essentially the same. I would like to remind the commission that they would need to ask the applicant if they are agreeable to these conditions.
Okay, before I go for a motion to approve or deny, does the applicant, do you understand the conditions and see any issues in complying with the conditions as printed?
No, I don't see any issue with them.
Thank you, sir. Okay, hearing no objections from the applicant, look for a motion to approve or disapprove the permit.
Move to approve.
Motion by Sebastian. Second by Kurt Sherburne. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Permit is granted. Thanks, everyone. Our next public hearing is looking for a conditional use permit. Look for a motion to open the public hearing. Motion by Jenny.
I'll offer a motion to open the public hearing.
Thank you, Jenny.
Second.
Motion by, and a second by Ashley. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Public hearing is open. Thanks, everyone. Matt?
Yes, this is a conditional use permit request to convert an accessory use to a principal use. It was put forth by, is it Stefan Zecki? Yep. This is a new kind of one, kind of type of request as well. I don't think that our commission has heard a request like this before. Just because previously, with our code, we were not, if you wanted to do an accessory use without a principal use on a property, you just couldn't do it. The CUP kind of gives you the path, gives landowners the path forward to convert an accessory use to a principal use, whereas before it just wasn't allowed. So this property is in the Harlow Estates subdivision. It's north of Moorhead, approximately 2 miles and a mile west on 75. There's just a shipping container on site, zoned ag general. Surrounding properties are zoned the same. The applicant would like to construct a 2,400 square foot, 40 by 60 shop garage. The intent of it is to work on and store classic car collection. Really, the purpose of this is to ensure the use conversion is compatible with the agricultural and residential character of surrounding area, and that there's adequate space for any wells or septic drain fields, which there is. And from our comprehensive plan, we have a goal to support the long-term protection of the county's strong diverse and agricultural economy, ensure that all new development is compatible with the character and quality of ag areas. So this use would be on a residential lot, wouldn't take any ag land out of production. Any questions for me at all?
Mr. Chair and Matt, just to clarify, in my mind, when you say convert an accessory use, the building doesn't exist there right now, does it?
It does not.
So is that just the terminology that's used in this sort of description? Because to me, it looks like it should be already there to convert it.
So essentially, a principal use in this case would be like a residence. So if someone wanted to build a house, they could just come and get a building permit to do that. If someone had a house on this property and they wanted to do a shop or garage, like the applicant wished to do, and there was already a house on there, that would be the accessory use. So in that case, they could just do that without a conditional use permit. Previously, if you wanted to do something like this, you just couldn't do it at all. So the conversion is really just making this what would be classified as an accessory use into a principal use. So when they build it, that will be the principal use on the property. So, and really kind of one of the main things, especially for like something like this, is to ensure that it's going to be solely for personal use and it's not going to turn into like an auto repair center or something like, or a commercial property.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else have questions or clarification requirements for Matt? Hearing none, would the applicant care to come forward and please state your name for the record? And
My name is Safin Zeki, and I have no questions.
okay, does anyone have any questions for him? Okay, well, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against? Anyone in the audience wish to speak for or against this request? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kurt Stubsted,
Second.
second by Sebastian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. The conditional use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of residents of Clay County. The conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. The establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. The conditional use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. The conditional use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. The conditional use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of township or city as may be applicable. And staff has 4 conditions.
Mr. Chair and Matt, I'm guessing nobody in the audience spoke up or online. Did anybody send in any comments that you're aware of?
Just one comment from Craignas Township, and they were just basically wanted an explanation of what the request was, and they didn't have any other comments.
Matt, just have a question here. there was an unpermitted shipping container, I'm assuming, when we transition this, if we do accessory to principal, is that just now permitted underneath?
Yep, that would essentially become the accessory use. Yep, so we could actually go through and permit it. Yep.
Okay, just curious.
Okay, does the applicant understand and agree that they could follow the 4 conditions that are stated on the?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'd like to say, I'd like to thank you for coming to us before you build the shop. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair and Matt, on the last page, something I don't remember seeing, there's 3 comments under the flood hazard districts and 4 under the shoreline. Is that something that needs to be noted on record?
This would not apply to this request as it's not in the floodplain or shoreland.
Okay.
Yep.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none, look for a motion to approve or disapprove the conditional use permit.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve of the permit with the conditions.
Motion has been made by Jenny,
Second.
second by Kurt Stubsted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Our next hearing is from Northern Growers, another request for a conditional use permit. Look for a motion to approve the opening of the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Laura, second by Ashley to open the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing is open. Matt?
Yes, so keeping with the theme tonight and continuing to blaze new trails here.
Oh my God.
This is a CUP request for a cannabis micro business. Applicant is Northern Growers LLC, the landowner is Tyler Otterson. This property is located just outside of Moorhead. It's about 1/10 of a mile east of US Highway 75. There's a 4,000 square foot shop and about 1,700 square feet of paid parking on the property. This property was rezoned in 2018 to remove the urban expansion district tier 1 overlay zoning district. So leaving it just strictly highway commercial. It's currently used as a commercial property. So the surrounding properties, their underlying zoning is either agricultural, general, or highway commercial, but they do have that tier 1 urban expansion overlay zoning district. This property is unique in that it does not have that. So the request is CUP for a cannabis microbusiness. This would be to grow, so to cultivate, and then also for retail sale. And they have received the green light from the State of Minnesota Office of Cannabis Management. That means they got a preliminary approval from the state. So the next step in the process is to secure a site. Essentially, once they have that, then they can get the final license issued. They plan on using 4,000 square feet of this all structure. It'll be all indoors. They're planning on using advanced HVAC systems with odor control, a sealed grow environment as well, LED lighting and security accesses. And then the retail space has to be controlled as well. So controlled access, age verification, customer flow management. Just as an example, the tribal dispensary in Moorhead uses this. They all use kind of the similar process where you can't just walk in and buy something. There's steps that you have to go through to actually get in and make your purchase. The business hours would be aligned with our local regulations of 8 to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday and 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday. For security, they would have 24/7 video surveillance, secure storage as well, and they do plan on coordinating with the sheriff's department. There is adequate space for off-street parking, though would like to see a parking plan to be submitted by them as well. They do meet or exceed all the setbacks for this business. One thing I'd like to see addressed is a plan to for storage and disposal of waste products and wastewater. For cultivation, integrated pest management plan is required as well. Moorhead Township did choose, they passed a resolution this year to delegate their retail registration to the county. So retail registration would go through our public health department. And so once they get a license, they can't operate retail until they have this registration, local registration. And that essentially registers them with the county and would subject them to compliance checks, regular compliance checks. Just a closer look at kind of where it is. I think this is one, I think we noticed like 320 properties for this, just because of the proximity to Moorhead, so.
That's how many letters?
Big thanks to Erica and Rita for that. Yeah. As far as public comment, we have not received any. The city of Moorhead did reach out and they said they don't have any issues with that, with the request. We did not receive a comment from Moorhead Township as well. I also did confirm with the Office of Cannabis Management that yes, they have the preliminary approval and would just need to kind of go through this step before submitting all their final documentation. For a comprehensive plan, how this would relate to that. We do have a goal to encourage commercial industrial development that is in harmony with the ag and rural character of Clay County, promoting value-added ag commercial industrial development in agricultural service center areas and along transportation hubs and corridors. So this would be within that US Highway 75 corridor to avoid or mitigate against commercial industrial development that increases the potential for land use conflicts with rural, residential, or ag uses. This would meet all those setbacks. We have a goal to promote the incorporated communities of Clay County as prime locations for commercial and industrial development and encouraging that to locate within incorporated communities of Clay County. So this is not within an incorporated community, but it is in the growth area of the city of Moorhead. And then also we have an objective under this goal to encourage commercial and industrial development that is in harmony with future land use plans or city leadership to occur in future urban growth areas of unincorporated communities. And again, the city of Moorhead doesn't see any issue or conflict with this use. Any questions for me at all?
Yes, so water, so are there public utilities to this location?
It's well and septic.
So privately owned.
Yep, private.
Will they have enough water to grow? I don't know. Being a well?
That'd be a question for the applicant, I think, when it's their time to, or if you want to ask them now, I suppose. The only other thing that I'll say is the licensing process is pretty thorough from the state. And really what the legislature has granted to local jurisdictions is to regulate the time, the place, and the manner of these businesses. So that's kind of what the focus is here. Otherwise, I guess, regulations in terms of security, ventilation, odor control, all of those things are regulated by the state. And so they would be receiving state inspections on all of those too, to make sure that the building is up to code and that they have those systems in place.
Mr. Chair and Matt, am I correct in that it can only be, this operation could only be in a highway commercial zone?
Highway commercial or limited highway
Or
commercial.
limited, okay.
This is by Nurtured Nest too, isn't it? That
Correct.
must be within regular
It is
distance away?
501 feet from nurtured nest,
What was the
which
regular?
was verified several times.
Okay.
The setback is 500 feet,
You got 12 inches, boys.
so.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Matt? Okay, would the applicant care to come up and speak? Please state your name for the record.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Hedlund. I'm one of the owners of Northern Growers, or also known as Minnesota Cannabis Company. And I don't have any questions, but I'm guessing you guys might have some, so fire away.
I have some regarding some of the things that Matt had stated that weren't completed yet. Waste,
Wastewater and waste management was one.
when do you anticipate having your Ts dotted and your Is crossed?
So we do have a preliminary now that we worked through with our attorneys that we're kind of working coincide with the state still. I have a copy of that if you guys would like. Mainly, a lot of the water, there's, with the indoor grow, there's not a lot of water waste. We're hoping to reclaim most of it to reuse in our grows as well. Anything that's considered not reusable would be treated and disposed of properly by the state guidelines of what they're requiring. So as far as product and disposal of plants that are no longer usable, any product that's deemed not sellable or expired or anything like that, we would have to have what's called a cannabis container, and it's a sealed container to keep it there until it gets to a certain point, and then we can have it taken away and disposed of properly. As far as the plant itself, we're hoping to compost some of it, of what we can. Certain things like the root ball and things that aren't considered product that could be possibly used can be disposed of just through the trash or through however you would dispose of, I guess, of root balls. But the plants itself will need to be either composted or a grind compost to where there's really nothing left to it. So, and then either reused or hauled off.
Thank you.
Sorry, Sebastian, we do have a well on property. We have it scheduled to be tested next week for the capacity. Approximately about 200 to 400 gallons a day is about what we looked at as what we would be using for water. So it's mainly for us to test to see the length or the duration of that well. And then looking to see if we would need to add it. Currently, as far as I know, from previous tests, what we have would fit our facility. If we expand, that would be something we just have to look at or check again. So we want to get it verified. The well was tested years ago, and we just want to verify and make sure.
Mr. Chair, is there going to be retail out front then as well?
Yeah, so, I don't know if we had a picture of it. So there's a Quonset style building, and off to the east of it would be the retail as well, so.
So the buildings would be all connected?
Yep, they are currently connected.
Will remain that way, but just different levels of.
Security, yep. So the grow facility itself will have its own set of security with fob indoors and full cameras and stuff like that. The dispensary would as well have the security doors and things like that. 24-hour surveillance on the property at all times, inside and out.
Mr. Hedlund?
Yes,
correct?
yes.
You mentioned possible expansion. Are you limited on how much square area you can go up to, and how much are you going to use as of now?
Yes, so the license that we applied for, we are allowed to grow. They guide it by canopy space, so how much canopy one plant would use. We are currently, for the license we're applying for, could potentially grow up to 5,000 square feet of canopy space. The facility that we have does not. We're looking at taking that building and turning it into basically 2 to 3 grow rooms. We're thinking approximately 300 plants would go through a grow cycle at a time with the facility or the drop that we have right now currently.
And what would be the square footage of canopy as
So-
available now?
If we had 300 plants, you would be looking at roughly about 1,200 to 1,500 square feet of canopy.
So if we drove by, other than a bunch of cars going there to buy, whatever, would we notice much difference as far as equipment, traffic?
No, not really. The current owner had been using it a lot for storage, so it's actually going to be maybe a little bit cleaner. Our goal is, we will have the signage as required by the county or the state that has it, but we would like to keep it, as quiet as possible, or as nonchalant, I guess, as possible. We know that the product itself and the business itself will draw attention. We just don't want to draw extra attention if we don't need to. It's not our intention.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Turn your mic on.
I was curious about the length of maturity from planting the seed to the time that you can harvest it.
So usually varies, but it's roughly about 8 to 10 weeks. Currently, to get into, I guess, the science of it, a lot of the process going from seed to actual sprout or plant typically takes the longest. We can purchase what's called clones, and it's basically a plant that has already been started and about 6 to 8 inches high. That helps us eliminate that first 3 weeks, and so, but there's the growth cycle then for itself would be roughly about 8 to 10. There's also drying time and there's trimming time. So I would say from plant until actually hitting the shelves would be 12 weeks, would be my guess.
So you'll get several crops a year then.
Our goal, is to turn, and there is a little bit of downtime in between because every grow room is, if you look at it like a surgery room, it has to be completely sterile and it has to be started over and hosed down every time you start a new grow. We have to build these so that we can control and manipulate the environment inside of them, temperature, humidity, lights and things like that. And we're working with Mission Mechanical right now, who actually built out Pure Dakota facility in North Dakota. North Dakota's medical facility, and getting the right HVAC systems and stuff like that. So it should filter everything as needed. So,
Mr. Hedlund, what you and your team is going to produce there, is that limited to just your retail, or can you supply somebody else?
we are allowed to supply others. We can wholesale it. So with our license that we currently have, we could grow and not dispense and sell wholesale to other dispensaries. From what we've researched and learned is that the first few years, especially, it's the product itself is going to be a pain point. So us being able to grow our own and then sell it is what's going to kind of keep us sustaining. So. We do also have the option to bring in other product if we have other growers from different parts of the state that, want to maybe use and sell other product from different parts. We can do that as well with the dispensary side. So.
How many different types? You talk about different rooms, so there'll be all different types?
So with the size that we have, it'll probably be about 6 to 10 different strains. We're going to run a couple that are very common, very easy to grow, very consistent, and then we're going to do a few others that are popular, and we'll change up that rotation as well. But yeah, about our size, we feel about 6 to 10.
Is this the first one? This is the first one then?
Other than the tribal ones, yes, we were hoping and have been trying to become the first one. So
Okay.
For us, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't want to look too excited.
Is that why you wear green at night?
And if you look through our business plan, you will see that we've developed a part of our business plan that we call a charity strain. So with every grow, we plan on growing a certain amount of plants that everything that's harvested and sold off of that, and the community would know that. We're planning on gifting that back into our community. We have veterans that are in our company. We have parents that, I'm a big fan of donating back to kids, especially kids that don't have it as well as others. So our goal is to, with every grow cycle, we roughly could have, X amount of dollars that we're going to gift back into the community of Moorhead. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes, or online? There's nobody online tonight. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing none. Look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Sebastian.
Second.
Second by Kurt Stubsted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. The conditional use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of Clay County. All the boxes are checked, so. The conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose that's already permitted. So what businesses surround, there was a daycare within 501 feet. What else is in that area?
There's painting, Solon Brothers Painting. Still there?
Solon Brothers Paint, bus garage, yeah. Yeah, there's a radio station, but it's not operational.
Establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. Additional measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, and off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. The conditional use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. The conditional use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. The conditional use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan, and any comprehensive plan of a township or city may be applicable. Staff has listed 8 conditions. And they address all the questions that I had regarding the copies of the solid waste and wastewater. I find it interesting at the pest management, it's just like it was a food. I mean, it's very, you have to have that in restaurants and. Anybody have any comments or questions or addictions?
Thank you.
Jenny?
I just want to comment. I think the deliberate planning that the county did just to really work through anticipating applications really probably shows with the lack of substantial folks in the audience today. To have noticed as many people as we had, and to not really have anyone in the, I mean, we've had far more people in audiences for other pieces. But I think this is maybe just a sidebar comment about the testament to the work Matt and your staff did, laying the groundwork in anticipation for when these applications started coming in, to be very clear with applicants about what the county would like to see in regards to pieces is good. So I'm appreciative of that. I do really wish there was another like 10 to 50 feet between the daycare. I mean, that's not a deal breaker for me. I do, want, and I think you will, there to be clear communication with the businesses that exist there, because what's good for one business really will be good for all of the businesses in that area. But I really do feel good about the conditions that are on here, making sure that we're protecting not only this applicant, but the other existing businesses.
Okay, does the applicant understand and is able to comply with the 8 conditions as printed?
Yes, absolutely. If I can touch on what she said, Matt has been absolutely great to help us and work with us. Very attentive and gets our answers quickly. I do believe to touch on the daycare, I do believe it's the very closest point, which is actually the back of our building, which we won't be doing in the back of their building. If you were to go where our customers will walk into where their kids are, it's quite a bit further, I think.
Further, yes, you're right, because they're on the north side and you're on the south side.
Yeah, and obviously our goal is to never interfere or to make it uncomfortable for them. We would gladly work with them and make sure that those kids aren't affected by anything, so. So
on that same line, so how far is the grow area and from the daycare? I'm, concerned, I have some concern about potential odor.
And I wasn't meaning to make it an issue. I mean, it really is, the closest points really are the furthest points from it.
Yeah.
The access points are much farther than what the closest pieces are.
Like the back building, I think that is the closest, literally, there's nothing that we would use it. We have a door on the back that we're gonna seal up because we don't want that access into the building. And so that back corner would be nothing, other than a snowplow would go through it. So all of our deliveries would come up front, which is a much further distance from where they would be.
And the play area for the daycare is much farther because that's on the north side and that's completely fenced in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. Chair, that'd be closer to like 560, 550 feet. And then the actual building where but the majority of the daycare activities take place, where most of the kids are for most of the day, is like 506 feet. From nearest corner to nearest corner. Also including in there, just because it was so close, there's a soffit that comes out on the bottom base of that building, sticks out about a foot, and I measured from the end of that. Well,
Thank you for being very thorough. And thank you for coming and answering all our questions and having your ducks in a row.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Matt, what, as far as the setback, it says this setback is not reciprocal. Can you explain that?
yes, so some setbacks in Clay County are reciprocal, meaning, for example, a feedlot. The setback from a feedlot to a residence is reciprocal, meaning that the setback from a residence to a feedlot would be the same. For this, if, say, the daycare wanted to move their playground or wanted to expand a little bit, they could do that. So the 500-foot setback does not impede on the ability of anyone else to develop within that setback. They are certainly welcome to come in. It's just that the cannabis business couldn't go any closer.
That's what I thought. I just wanted you to confirm it. And we're making a recommendation to the county board, correct? No?
Nope.
No? Okay.
This is it. Okay, look for a
I'll make that motion to approve with the conditions 1 through 4.
1 through 8.
1 through 8, excuse me.
Okay. Motion by Kurt Stubstead to approve the conditional use permit with conditions 1 through 8.
I'll second the motion.
And a second by Jenny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Permit is granted. Matt, item number 7, update of planning and zoning violations.
I'm currently sitting at 17 for gravel pits, kind of the similar issues, setback issues, just getting copies of permits and bonds. One has already done all their dirt work to reclaim their issue, just needs to be inspected. And then we just have one administrative home occupation that would require a boundary line adjustment, essentially, because they're operating a business on, they were operating a business on one property, then they moved it next door, but the building is still on it. Yeah, it's complicated. And then just 2 commercial storage properties with violations that are being actively addressed. I think this time of year is kind of the peak for finding the gravel pit violations.
Middle of summer.
Just want to commend Erica too for doing a really great job and doing her pit inspections. And she's a fantastic ace drone pilot as well.
Thank you. Any unfinished business, Mr. Jacobson?
No.
How about new business?
Just that the Minnesota Counties Intergovernmental Trust is putting on a land use training in Waite Park. I sent you all an email about that. That's on August 7th. It's from 9 to 4. If any of you are interested in attending or can attend, I'd highly recommend doing that. I'm interested most, I think, in there's going to be a whole session on data centers. That's something that we're starting to see more and more of, more in North Dakota, but there are 10 planned in Minnesota right now too. So see a lot more of those. It's a great opportunity. If you have a day and are able to do it, I highly recommend doing it. And just contact me if you could by the end of the week, because they fill up really fast. And I can get you registered. I think that's a Thursday.
Yep.
August 7th.
7th is a Thursday. Okay. Anybody else have any things to bring up? Hearing none, it looks like our next meeting will be the 19th. Look for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Kurt Stubstead,
Second.
second by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.